Network Entertainment.
And welcome to my podcast. This is the RJ Ledesma podcast. In my podcast, I like to interview entrepreneurs and business owners to learn more about how they think about doing business, what are their success secrets, and how can we replicate those success secrets in our own businesses. Today, I am thrilled to have over here two lovely ladies and two very ladies really try to change the world in their own little spheres of influence. I've got my good friends over here, Mel Sua and Joy Go of BrainRx Philippines. Ladies, thanks so much for joining us here in the podcast.
Thank you for inviting us.
Thank you so much. It's an honor.
Yeah, this is truly a pleasure because BrainRx, I cannot recommend it enough. So just recently, my son is a classmate of Mel's
Yes.
daughter, and my youngest son goes to BrainRx, and I could really see the change in his academic attitude. I would say, But before everything else, for the people who might not be too familiar, what is BrainRx? In a nutshell, how do we explain that to people?
So BrainRx is a program. It's a licensed program from the US. So the creator of the program is a company called LearningRx. And in the US, they use the LearningRx branding. So it's a franchising system in the US. Outside of the US and Canada, they use the BrainRx branding. So they
see.
go on, they do a licensing system. So in the Philippines, we're both a center licensee. So we operate the BGC Center of BrainRx. But at the same time, we're also the master developer for the Philippines.
Wow. And what exactly is BrainRx? Sounds like a medicine that you give to the brain, right? BrainRx.
No, actually, it's not.
It's kind of like hiring a personal coach for your brain. So it's training your brain to be stronger and faster through exercises and interesting activities, fun activities, actually.
No, this is very interesting. So it's to train your brain to become better, smarter, and like for me, I came across it because primarily I was looking to help improve my son's performance in school, but. Is it something that's limited just to kids, or is it something even somebody my age? But my wife keeps on saying you should go to BrainRx.
Yeah.
No, actually, it's meant for all ages. Actually, our program can work with 8-year-olds as old as 88-year-olds.
Really?
So the idea is you can go to the gym to work out your muscles and be mentally fit, physically fit. And that goes for any age. And the exercises can be adjusted according to what you can do. And it's the same thing with your brain exercises that we offer. We can adjust it according to where the student's mental ability is. And we've had young students, professionals, school age teenagers, as well as seniors and professionals. Yeah.
This is very interesting. Before I go a bit more into discussing the history of bringing BrainRx here to the Philippines, does that mean that that like for me, for people who might not know, does it mean that you put somebody there intentionally just to improve in school? Because that's the first thing people think of, or because my son's not doing well in school, or he needs some help. But is that the purpose of BrainRx?
Yeah. So let me explain a bit more. So BrainRx is a cognitive testing and training program. So it's a very intensive kind of, let's just say, mental gym, quote unquote, where, a parent who may be seeing some challenges in a child, or maybe herself or himself, they want to boost their mental capability. Maybe let's say they have problems with focusing, or maybe they're starting to see some issues with memory, or they see some learning challenges or reading challenges or math challenges. So they can actually come to a BrainRx center and work the brain such that, the challenges that they're seeing will get alleviated.
I see. So it's not, they don't go there it's not a tutorial. I mean, just to be clear in our minds. It's
definitely not.
Tutorial. So they don't go there to
Non-academic.
improve. Oh, it's non-academic.
It's very, very different from tutoring and from any of the other mainstream, the common interventions that we're familiar with, like occupational therapy, speech therapy. We actually complement their complementary interventions, because a lot of times when we get students or kids where they have been with maybe a certain tutor or a certain OT, occupational therapy center, when they come to us, we kind of like shift that cognitive ability, make it stronger, and it's now easier for the other interventionists to do their job.
You're sort of like You're sort of like the middleman to help things
parang
get
ganon,
better. Parang
kinda.
ganyan, no?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's complementary.
It's paving the way.
So if let's say occupational therapist focuses on the physical, the movements, or the developing the right habits, routines for the child, at the same time we're working the brain so that they can absorb instructions better. They can sit longer hours in front of a tutor or a teacher or a therapist, so their attention span can be improved, or even the logic, just being able to understand instructions, or their processing, how quickly they can process whatever you're telling them to do. So sometimes the occupational therapist comes to a roadblock that, okay, I've taught them everything, and yet parang
Di
may
pumapasok.
kulang pa.
Yeah,
May kulang
pa.
pa. And so sometimes we are the other interventionists that can help on developing that processing. It can be a speed of processing, or it can be the logic of
The
how they
quality.
understand, or how they understand instructions, or even just attention. Sometimes they say that they only last for, I don't know, 1 minute, 2 minutes, but now we can stretch that to 30 minutes or longer, depending on how well they work with
No,
us.
and I can vouch for that because my son over the summer has been doing BrainRx, and you know what? Pre and post, when I speak to the teachers, they're going, "What did you do with him?" I mean, all of a sudden, he's this guy who kept looking out the window before.
RJ, ilang buwan lang yan.
Yeah, yeah,
It was
like-
just like 2 months ba?
Yeah, just 2 months.
Yeah.
Of really
2
intense.
months,
But
3
now it's
months.
like,
Yeah.
the teacher saying, I leave him alone now. Then he just keeps on going
Yeah.
at the work. And for me, that was,
I know.
quite a revelation for me to find things out. I mean, it works, but I understand, like, for occupational therapy. How about for things like maybe speech therapy? Does it also help out? Does it slide in to also help out improve somebody's speech therapy?
Yeah.
Some of the surprising things we've had over the years. So this is our center's 13th
Yes.
13th year na kami, no? Our center. So some of the surprising things would be like, we're not speech therapists, but we've actually had one case where there was this student who came to us. I think she was about 14, and she was born deaf. So the mom came to us saying, I could not forget because of the story, if we can help. I said, we're not speech therapists, we're not audiologists, we're not all that. But sabi niya, you just try. So the surprising thing, it really took the child talaga a lot of effort and tears, because some of the lower levels of the auditory processing exercises, which is she scored very low in, no? She could not do level 1, level 2. But, by the end of the program, her speech was clearer.
Wow.
Yeah. She herself noticed, everyone around her noticed. And even, so the way that she would pronounce the words, and even the way that she would absorb and process sounds became a lot clearer. It's interesting.
Yeah,
It's
because part of
interesting.
what the program, what we do is that we improve the way you absorb information, and that goes with what you see and what you hear, and how your brain processes all those inputs. So part of that is developing the auditory processing skills so that you can improve on your speech. So complementary siya to a speech therapist who's developing the
see.
speech for the
But
child.
not only speech, ha. So even other surprising things would be, this is also one of the standout cases where we had one boy, parallel. We were working with shapes, and somehow this boy could not arrange the shapes with a clear parallel, gap in the middle. So, for example, like he kept
Yeah.
on arranging it this way.
I see.
So I thought by that time it was the problem with the eyes. So we asked the mom to send the kid to the pediatric ophthalmologist. Twice bumalik, and twice the doctor said it's not the problem with the eyes, it's the brain. So with that parang advice, we were more parang mapanatag. We were more encouraged. Sige, let's try. Within 1 month, the boy started arranging the shapes. Ganyan nagiging ganyan na.
Wow.
So it's really about
How your
breaking
brain-
barriers
Yeah.
of people's beliefs that hanggang dyan na lang ako.
Yeah.
Porket may label yung bata, we really can break those labels. It's really about the mindset of the parents and the mindset of the kids.
It's like, but for lack of a better term, it's like really going to the gym in a sense that,
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
And it's really building the skill set. You're not going to become, you're not going to be Mr. Olympic.
No,
right
You're not
away,
going to be Michael Phelps all the way,
Not
right
all the way,
away.
but
Oo.
you've got to
But if
start
you have to
somewhere.
start somewhere and build it up.
It's not a miracle program. It takes work. But as with anything, RJ, whether we're entrepreneurs, we're moms also, no? And any skill can be developed
Learn.
as long as you put your heart and mind to it and you have the right tools, the right structure, the right environment in place. Some people can improve.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
How about, I mean, the other thing that I also came across, like you were talking about occupational therapy and maybe speech, right, improving. But also, let's say for attention span, my wife often tells me, RJ, I suspect that you need to go see if you have,
Yeah.
attention deficit. And sometimes, the kids, because of
Yeah.
the nature of the day where they're just scrolling across their phone, the attention span has become diverted or very low attention span. Does it also work on those things?
Yeah, we
Yes.
get a lot of students that have attention challenges and issues because attention is quite complex. No, there's 3 different kinds of attention, and it's one thing that one student can last for 45 minutes in class, but it's also one thing where they can multitask, take notes, and listen to the teacher at the same time. But there's also the important part where if there's a lot of distractions, you can focus on the task on hand.
Yes, yes.
So that alone is very complicated, and science has shown that the prefrontal cortex of people only fully develop until age 25. So, we have a lot of work to do from, during our time in school. And so we see a lot of that now with attention issues or just not being able to focus in class, getting distracted, our mind goes away. But that's one of the key things why parents bring them to our center, and we help them with that. We can
Some of
strengthen
them.
that. Yeah.
Some of the common phrases, no? If a parent would have a teacher or a tutor saying, ito yung ilang phrases yan eh. So, short attention span ng anak nyo. Easily distracted. Tayo ng tayo. Cannot stay on task. Or sometimes it's like more formal terms like task initiation is hard. So that means it's hard for the child to start a task. Or those
could
are
be
the
the
more
opposite
common.
also.
Yeah. Sometimes some they can start easily, but
They never
they
finish.
never finish. Yeah, these are all attention related. Sometimes it's environment that's causing the problem, but sometimes it's the cognitive skills. Sometimes it's a lack of study habits or a lack of proper, kung sa harapan ng TV, nandyan lahat ng gadgets and you're trying to make a 6-year-old or 8-year-old do the homework. So it takes two to tango. Yeah.
I see.
Yeah.
Very interesting. So now, before this is a little bit of a preview on BrainRx. I'm very happy
Yeah.
to go deep dive and to explain this much better because as a parent, I feel it's such a important thing that we need to share this how BrainRx can really improve the lives of the children. I want to go a bit more into the entrepreneurial background for this one. I mean that you brought BrainRx. You're the main franchisee in the Philippines, right? But I'm just curious. You're also sister-in-laws, so that's an interesting dynamic. I mean, on the show you've had your brother, sister, father, son, spouses, and it's always very they have their own set of pros and cons, to say the least, right?
Right.
So I just want to ask, when you came into this one, is this the main business that you're doing, BrainRx, or were there several things that you were doing before going into BrainRx? Make me kwento naman na konti.
Sige, I'll let her start. Sige.
Yeah, so I was the one who found the website of Learning RX. This was back in, I think, 2010 thereabouts, maybe late 2010. So I started, at that point in my life, I have 2 boys. And then my younger one was already starting grade school, no? So I felt that I wanted to do something on my own na. I'm not the type of person, I just don't want to sit there and do nothing. I really want to be productive. And so I used to work for the family business, and then I became a full-time mom, and then I wanted to do something on my own. So I started searching. I knew that I wanted to get into education, but I didn't study education. I was a graduate of management engineering in Ateneo. But when I started becoming a mom, it sounds very cliche, RG, but it opened a whole new world in my mind. I said, wow, ang sarap pala magturo ng bata. So the idea of me being able to shape my kids' minds, and teach them and shape them and mold them, I found that so fascinating. Yeah. And so I said, okay, one day, toddlers pa lang sila, one day when I have something on my own, I wanted to be somehow in education. But I knew what I didn't want. I didn't want a school.
Okay.
I started searching and I found the website.
So just to, in the journey part, you were saying, okay, I want something in the education space. It was a gap that you found for yourself. I mean,
For myself,
for yourself,
exactly.
gap. I want to be able to help was it for primarily for your kids at start, or you're saying for the kids and eventually for more kids? Parang ganyan.
Okay, initially I said if I could do it, and I know I could do it with other kids, but then when I found their website, I started reading everything, something just clicked. It was one of those things na, alam mo, sometimes you meet a person, a situation, you just know it. This is it. It's the same for me. So I started corresponding, and it worked out. We liked. So far, they said yes, you can. Okay, we'll give you the center license. So I said I can't do this alone.
Ah.
So doon ako naghanap. Sabi ko, sino ang, in my mind, I said, sino ang kukunin kong partner? Kasi I know I can't do this alone. And I had a list of names. And then sabi ko, si Mel. It's my sister-in-law. Because she's good where I'm not. So, and I know I need that synergies for this business to work.
I see.
Yeah.
Very, very interesting that the first dynamic was for you to think of your sister-in-law in doing this one. I mean,
Actually, marami sila. But, yeah.
But Mel was actually right there. Mel, how about I want to know what is your background, so I understand basically where Joy was coming from,
Yeah.
and how it came about, and but for you, were you working on the family? What were you doing at the time?
Well, my background is in business, MIS in finance, but all along I've been doing corporate work. So I did training and consulting, worked for companies like Deloitte. So very corporate.
So very training consulting was your back. You're a consultant mentality.
Yes.
Okay.
And I also went into a training company that developed training materials for companies like Microsoft. So very professional type of career, which also helped me, with what I do now. But then eventually I entered the family business simply because they needed help. And it's a very traditional business. It's still manufacturing and distribution.
Very, very traditional Phil
Very
Chai,
traditional Phil Chai businesses pa rin. So when Joy approached me, it kind of clicked because I enjoyed my stint in training and consulting.
That's what I was about to say. It kind of made sense given what you were all doing. But training, this one.
Suddenly, manufacturing.
Yeah. But then it's just training again that they were getting from this one.
So when she approached me, I had a full-time job, honestly. But it was so interesting that, because I remembered what I really liked about training was when the person I'm talking to or the person I'm training has that light bulb moment. That's something money cannot buy for me. And that really clicked. And so when I had an opportunity to go back to training at least training or some form of education, I took it. So even though I had a full-time job, I was doing this on the weekends and at nights. And so because it's more like a passion project for me, there's, like I always say, there's faster ways to make money rather than being in education. No, but it kept me going even though I was working weekends and weeknights, because it was more fulfilling. I was looking
the gap.
It filled the gap for what I was looking for. Syempre, pag corporate, diba? Parang you're just on a rat race and everything.
That's right.
It fills the cup to a certain point. But then when you're in your 30s or something, you're starting to look for something more meaningful.
That's right.
And this kind of filled that gap. Yeah.
Interesting. You know what I also find interesting, and I'm going to take a step back a bit also, with regarding to the background, being Filipino Chinese and working for the family business, because I've had many over here that experience that. Number one is that you're expected to stay in the family business and not open anything up, but to stay on the path of working for them. How did you eventually manage to? I guess what was your own journey to say that okay, I won't be. I won't be in these bounds, but rather I'll make my own path.
I was fortunate that I was the only girl. And I had younger brothers who can help.
I see.
So when I got married, so Phil Chai kasi sometimes there's that expectation that, you somehow follow your husband's
family.
Yeah, there's that. But it's not practiced every time, but it's still a very parang strong notion pa rin among families.
I see.
I'm on the other opposite naman. I'm still in the family business and I'm juggling this to do. Yeah, I'm still in the family business because I'm the youngest naman. So lahat sila umayaw na. Ako na lang yung natira. So I have no choice but to continue.
But there's an appreciation of you doing this is sort of like entrepreneurial work, and there's an appreciation for you also, whether you work for them or you put up your own, right?
Yes, exactly. At least there's that sense of fulfillment that at least I didn't just rely on the family business, and now I have my own thing going. And so for me, it's also a fulfillment that I'm able to do both. Yeah.
Mel, if you don't mind, I want to ask a bit more, because this is what, it's very interesting because they often say that, what's very, something culturally very strong strong among Filipino Chinese. The idea that, parang we expect you to either work for us or you put up your own. What do you think you can share that you've gained, like, say, from working with both family and doing your own passion work?
I think with anything, there's pros and cons. With a family business, obviously, it gives you stability. But it also lets you learn patience, perseverance, and appreciate what your parents or grandparents have set up for you. Because they had that long-term vision to make sure that your family and your descendants will be well taken care of. And that appreciation for their wisdom, when they share with you what they did, how they started, manufacturing talagang mano-mano pa talaga, manual labor. Your parents really worked hard. I'm sure there's endless stories of Phil Chai tycoons,
Yes.
how they started from scratch. Ganon din yun. So having that appreciation keeps you grounded. And so even though I have my own thing, when I set up that business, I still try to bring in those values in there. And kids nowadays, Starbucks here, Grab there. Parang it's very easy for them. Now it's easier. But I bring them back to, let's make the pid here if we can. Ganyan, medyo trying to still instill some of those values as you set up your own. I guess when you come in from a family business and then into here, you bring in those mindset na anything can happen and you should be ready to take up any struggle, overcome the challenges. Because there's nothing that's smooth sailing naman in any business that you do.
Exactly.
To add to that,
exactly, yeah.
RG, so my dad, who's her father-in-law, no? I think I was fortunate enough because I was the eldest. I'm the eldest. That I really saw how he started from, small and then over decades, became more and more successful. So I even remember the times that talagang siya mismo, my dad, kaya even up to when he could, no? Normal sa kanya yung maghawak ng karton, kasi he would, we were in the trading business. Sometimes when there are orders, so he would be the one to like put stuff together with a
back siya mismo, packer na rin niya.
kasama ng mga botegero. And I grew up in that environment. So from a little shop like in the Binondo area, Recto area. So eventually, we moved offices, and as I grew up, I could see the evolution. My dad was actually one of the most masipag people that I know.
Wow. And that sort of work ethic really comes off also
Yeah.
for you guys. And that's what you've
Yeah.
learned a lot from that one.
What's up, Kingdom fam? Yuki and Ingrid here from the Kingdom Podcast. Are you someone who has fully integrated K-pop into your life? Or keep up with the latest K-pop comebacks, news, and scandals?
Do you also dream about getting married to your bias and having their babies in the future? Well, you're in the right. What? I'm just being honest.
Look, you know what? Let's just get back to it. At the Kingdom Podcast, we dive into the latest comebacks, dissect the music videos, and do deep dives on controversies.
Not only do we make things informative, but we also keep it fun. It'll be just like listening to a group of friends who love K-pop as much as you.
You won't find another podcast that's as fun and unfiltered as ours.
So, if you're ready for some K-pop chaos, grab your nightsticks and tune in.
Check out the Kingdom Podcast.
Stream it on all your favorite podcast platforms. Stay awesome, Kingdom fam! I thought that was pretty good. What do you think?
Marrying your bias and having their babies? Really?
Yep.
Okay.
Going back, the other interesting thing is, the dynamic aside from working for the family businesses is also working as in-laws in the business.
Yeah.
And how did you I guess start it off so that, I mean, and sometimes it's not perfect at the start, and I appreciate that because I've been there, done that as well. How did you sort of draw the line so that you make sure that the relationship would work? Because sometimes you if you don't put things together, things aren't gonna work out well.
I remember before, kasi nga, I know of many stories where hindi nagkakasundo, nag-aaway-away yan, even mag-best friends, but they go into business, nag-aaway. So at the back of my mind, I know kailangan clear yung expectations. So I remember we had one conversation, sabi ko, Mel, paano natin hahatiin yung work? Remember, early on yan. So what I could do is this, what she could do is that. And then we somehow, on certain areas, we agreed that we could do sabay on those. So like right now, very clear, we have our own parang domains in the company. And I think it's worked out. And also open communication.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
Very
at the
transparent kami with each other. Eh.
I think
Yeah.
at the start pa lang, I think we are aligned with our goals and
Yeah.
values. No, things like integrity. Nakakatuwa nga kasi we were talking about core values, and then
Yeah.
when I blurted out my core values, sabi niya, yan din ang akin, which is
Sabay
integrity,
kami.
by the
Oh,
way.
okay.
So that's how we drew up. Part of how we drew up or adapted our own core values for the company. But somehow you need to find someone who's like-minded, but at the same time complementary to what you are, you may not be
Yeah.
strong at.
Yeah.
So having alignment in goals and similar value system would be a good start. And at the same time, yun nga, we split the work, we have our own
Yeah.
domains. And so
Yeah.
that kind of, and then one thing I remember, I said, no spouse involvement.
Yeah.
That was my condition.
Yeah.
I said no
Yeah.
spouse involvement.
And I said,
Kaming
yes,
dalawa lang
agree
talaga.
ako.
Agree. So
Agree
right,
ako.
even her brother, she doesn't want in the business. So I said that. Maybe on paper they're part of it, but decision
Ah,
making.
okay.
It's like there's a certain closeness, but not too close.
Yeah.
Okay, got it. But those are important boundaries to have,
Yes,
especially in doing this type of
Yeah.
business.
Tsaka give and take.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes like we all go through our ups and downs in life.
Yeah.
Hindi tayo pwedeng maging masyadong makwenta with each other.
Yeah.
So, so parang if I see that I have to do a little bit more, okay lang sa akin.
Yeah.
Honestly. And then she has that attitude. So with that, you know, generous or give and take type of
I think we're
Yeah,
both problem
attitude.
solvers kasi at the end of
Also.
the day.
Yeah.
You know, as most people, if there's a problem, you just find a way to fix it. What it takes, whatever it takes.
Exactly.
Diba? So whether or not you're gonna do more or I'm gonna do, that's not the issue. It's just solving the problem on hand.
It's a very grounded and humble take. Na
Yeah.
we're entrepreneurs are problem solvers, and whoever solves the problem is for the good of the company.
Yes,
right?
exactly. Exactly.
Very interesting. Now, having said that, I want to go back now. Okay, so you saw Learning RX, really great program, bring it here to the Philippines. That's one step, right? But how
Yeah.
about the next step of actually putting it
Together.
How was that like for you guys when you were doing it?
Initially, kapa talaga.
Then I remember, sabi ko, "Uy, Mel, meron akong nahanap. Tapos, do you want to do this?" And na-excite siya. So we both went home, told our spouses. And then our spouses both had the same comment. At that time, sino mag-enroll dyan? Alala mo?
How are you gonna make money?
How are you gonna make money? Sino mag-enroll? It's so funny because both of them said the same thing. And so when we met up yan, sabi ko, alam mo, sabi ni ganyan, ganito. And sabi niya, ako rin. So, initially, kasi syempre sometimes in our excitement, we kind of like lose track also of what the reality is. So yung having to hear those kinds of comments also parang grounded us both and said, okay, let's sit down and let's really look at the landscape. What can we do? We're planners actually. So we kind of like to write things down. But yes, if you talk about the early start, because nobody knew about brain training. Even the concept of brain training, nobody knew. So when we were trialing it back in 2011, 2012,
We even
thereabouts.
gave away programs for free just to test it out.
Yeah, parang it was a climb. And we learned a lot, I think, over the years
Yeah.
through the challenges.
Ang daming trial and error. Ang daming trial and error. I mean, even just marketing, we were figuring out, should we be, hindi pa naman uso yung social media as much that time. So,
wala.
Even putting up a poster in the school bulletin board or the church bulletin board or the grocery bulletin board,
Yeah.
or do we go
Gumagawa pa
mailer condo to condo, ganon. So parang
sa
we
mga
tried everything.
subdivisions,
Subdivision,
villages,
flyer.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, we tried
Matapang.
everything.
Yeah, matapang
Almost
kami.
everything.
We
So,
really wanted to.
So I think we've had ups and downs talaga. I mean, it even came to a point where we were ready to quit na.
Yeah, so that you had a point. I mean, there's no entrepreneur naman who can say that. There's always been a point of doubt for them that I'm ready to quit this business. But you came across that as well. You came
Yes,
across
yes.
that as
At
well.
one point.
Yeah, there was about 4 or 5 years into it. There were family problems and said, parang, is this still worth it? We're not really making that much. It's parang break even every year or sometimes loss pa nga. So parang talagang worth it pa ba tong passion natin to educate or to train, no?
But the thing is, kasi alam mo, we could really see yung mga bata, yung mga students na handle namin really change.
Yeah.
So we knew it's just a matter of
it was working.
we just needed to tweak something else. And it's always like that. If we meet a certain challenge,
Yeah.
let's look at what we can do. If kami, we believe you always have that kind of mindset, you can resolve anything.
And you know what's
Yeah.
interesting also? Pandemic helped us.
Ah, really? Ah?
Yeah.
Actually, our business grew
No, there were
during
many,
the
there were many that
pandemic.
situations. Sometimes it became actually better for them.
Yeah,
So,
because the parents themselves witnessed firsthand how their child was not able to stay focused on an online class. They witnessed it at home. They
dami.
could see how distracted or whatever learning challenges there were at home. And so they sought help. And so that was the time
And
we
there
had.
was remember there was a lack of extracurricular
Yes.
activities. All the sports, that you can do outside of the house,
Yeah.
they were all canceled. And daming
you
opportunities.
were doing online
At
for
that
brain,
time.
At that
brain
time,
artists.
we were
Of course,
given.
for those extraordinary circumstances.
Yeah. We
Yes.
have to give credit, and which is why we love working with the BrainRx global heads and the Learning RX head office, because they really pivoted and they're very dynamic. So that was one of the things they really pivoted fast. They met all the licensee and said, "This is what we're gonna do." So there was that clear direction
from
and
them.
it actually.
And I remember we were quoted pa kasi
Yeah.
our Zoom, kami yung nag-maximize ng Zoom. Imagine having 10 breakout rooms and we had
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, naging example
trainers,
kami
naging
nun.
example kami how
Yeah.
we pivoted the business
We did the presentation
globally.
to all the other licensees
Parang
as well.
we maxed out our
Oh,
Zoom
it-
license.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
Problem solvers talaga kami.
and then, so the way that I see it is that sort of like the quote unquote the setbacks that you had. The thing is, when you contrast it to the meaningfulness of what you were doing, what's what kept you, I guess,
Going.
going for the business? Because there's a bigger reward for you guys in the end.
I think the meaningfulness is very much it outweighs all the kinds of problems or the setbacks, because, and I guess it's a different definition for each person, but for me, in this field that I'm doing, because this is not my only one, I have another center, no. But if I see that the children are really improving, and there's that, at the end of the day, it's really helping. It sounds so cliche, but it's developing human potential. How can we help the kids? And maybe, with a little bit by bit of things that we do, we help a whole generation.
Exactly.
It takes a village to raise the child. So, if
I
we can do
mentioned
our
the light
part-
bulb moment.
Yeah.
diba?
Yeah, yeah.
We get
Yeah.
that every day. So
Yeah.
what kind of
you with
business-
you.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I can see the light bulb moment of the kids, because for my own son,
Yeah.
he goes, "Oh, you're doing much better now. You
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
can you see it? Yes, Dad. Why do you think you're doing better? I'm BrainRx."
Oh, sabi niya.
I mean, that's what he says. He can see. That's why his brother is also very curious right now, because he's seen. Oh, he's really
yeah.
been improving.
It's changed a lot,
I need to
yeah.
see what's
Yeah.
happening over here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, what I find interesting is that you were saying that you napursige kayo, you really worked hard,
Yeah.
and there are a few tweaks, and now things are running, I guess, a bit better than the bumps that you've had. What can you share in terms of what were the biggest lessons that you think you can share with other entrepreneurs and business owners who've gone through that process that you guys went through? That what have you learned that you can?
I think
do
there's
better?
two things, no? One is growth mindset. We don't just stop where we know we're comfortable in. We have to be willing to try new things because it might be better or it can improve the way we do things. And second is resilience. It's a very important life skill, and that's what I learned from my parents. No matter what setback, no matter whether it's pandemic, parang the whole world is crumbling, there is an opportunity in every problem or challenge you face. So for me, growth mindset and resilience, it's very key in being an entrepreneur.
Exactly.
Yeah. For me, I think I would like to share. There are a lot, but I would like to focus on one. It's really to be able to know yourself, discover yourself more, and make sure that you are in the process of finding your meaning and purpose. If you have that very clear, and I'm really blessed that I found it earlier, in my life. If you're able to find that, or at least on the path of finding it, it really helps to narrow down and eliminate ito. Kasi sometimes in the face of a lot of opportunities, should I take this and this and that, So, but if you know your core, if you know where your path should be, then you can start focusing. It's all about focus, with the many things. that's happening right now? How can we focus more? How can we be more intentional in our actions so that it's more aligned to our meaning and purpose?
Share with me right now, like I'm looking at BrainRx, just how, I guess not how big, but how many students have gone through, how many have you helped, so that we understand, like, just from where you've grown from struggling to give out flyers to finally where you are right now.
Medyo marami.
Marami na. I mean, there's a lot of students now. We haven't really counted how many exactly, but at least we have 5 centers, active centers in the
Yeah.
Philippines. 4 are in Metro Manila, and then 1 is in Tarlac. So our center is one of the bigger centers worldwide,
Yeah.
BrainRx centers worldwide, and it's got the most number of active students.
Yeah.
So we've been given the accolade by the BrainRx international community as well on that.
Yeah.
Got that.
So the other centers, we don't own them, but we mentor them. We mentor the owners.
I
So
see.
again, it's a licensing system in the Philippines, and I think we've come to a point where we're kind of proud that we have educators and interventionists and even some doctors referring students
Exactly.
to us,
Oo.
and because a lot of it is actually word of mouth.
And they see the results.
There is results.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Like for
Yeah.
me, I'm the kind of guy.
Yeah.
I'm happy to preach the gospel because I've seen
Yeah.
I've seen the results of what have come out. Now, I hope you don't mind. I often tell the entrepreneurs. I often ask them, what is sort of like the secret sauce that you have? Diba? What's that proprietary sort of set of skills, resources, technology
Yeah.
that you guys have? Because I mean, I'm just trying to understand also in terms of, I'm a parent with a limited budget. I mean, I have a
Yes.
budget, of course, it's your kids, but then why should I for lack of a better term, why should I spend on a BrainRx versus spending more on tutor or extracurricular?
I'll give you maybe two. So 2 major ingredients, secret sauce, no? So one is the program itself, the BrainRx program, created by Learning RX. It's research based, it's evidence based. There are studies that show its efficacy, its efficiency, that it works. And if you've seen the research, we have a book that has the research outcomes. So there's even studies by diagnosis, ADHD, speech, even traumatic brain injury,
Even senior citizens.
So it's very solid research and studies that went into showing that the programs work. So that's one. Maybe also connected to that is there are many testimonials. Like you yourself, you actually said talaga it
Yes.
works. You see it with your own eyes. And maybe the other secret sauce, it's really not secret, but I guess it's the way that we run the center. So, very growth mindset kasi kami. Though if we train the kids to develop the growth mindset, we're also like that with our own team.
I see.
Yeah.
To add to that,
Yeah.
the secret sauce is hiring good people. Good people that are aligned with your goals and aligned with the core values that you espouse. If we are aligned, no matter if there's any point where you have to make a decision, you go back to your goals or your vision, mission, and core values. If the employees or the staff are also aligned in that, then you can't really go very wrong.
I see. So there's no other center facility that offers exactly what BrainRx has. In other words, what they've developed in terms of the methodology for improving the mental fitness of the brain, it's only being done in BrainRx.
The way that they call it procedures, or let's just say exercises, they're proprietary. So there's a whole system that Learning RX has developed, and that is proprietary to them. So now this system is available internationally as a licensing system. So for example, RJ, you could have your own center now, and you just add this program into your roster of services.
I see.
As opposed to a franchise. Franchise kasi you have to, there's a certain common look, common theme, common operational system. Here naman, it's really more the right to use that program.
I see.
And then in my center. So you could also be maybe an entrepreneur that wants to start a new center, pwede rin to. So you can actually open a center and offer the BrainRx
Similar
programs.
to what we do.
Yeah.
Oh, great. So let's talk about entrepreneurship. and the brain side. That also makes me curious because, what I like about it is the idea that, it's entrepreneurial, but at the
Yeah.
same time, it's really solving a problem and it's
Yes.
meaningful. I mean, for me,
Yeah.
there are different
Yeah.
layers to this one. So,
Yeah.
Yes.
and it's kind of business you go, bad time, good time. I look back and I can say, okay, nakakatulong ako eh. I mean, that's how I think
Yeah.
about it. So, a bit more, in terms of the people who might be curious right now, are you open, first of all, are you open to licensing this BrainRx here in the Philippines
Yes.
to more?
Yes. We are actually, in fact, looking for more like-minded people who want to bring the program to their community. So right now we have 5 areas in Metro Manila that offer the program. So there's one in BGC, which is our center. There's one in the BF Homes area. There's one in New Manila, Quezon City. Another in Green Hills, EDSA. And our very first provincial center in Tarlac. So the other 4 are all run by our licensees, which whom we trained and mentored.
Okay,
Yeah.
so the franchise, you have the franchise, and you have the authority to license it to other people when you train them in the system that's being used,
Yeah,
right?
that's right. We're like the master licensor. It's like we call it master developer. So, but all the relationship pa rin is between the licensee and Learning
BrainRx
RX. So we kind of like look for people and endorse them.
Okay.
Yeah.
What are you looking for in terms of the licensee in these other areas? Should they already have existing? I'm just asking.
Yeah.
Do they have
Yeah,
existing
go ahead.
tutorial centers? Should they? And then, because you said you can just parang latch
Add
onto
on.
that one,
Yeah.
or are these entrepreneurs? They don't have to have any educational related background or degree. Can you help us a bit more so if the licensees come
Yeah.
up to us, they know what to look
Yeah.
for?
So in terms of, let's say, existing centers, so pwedeng you can be a tutorial, you can be maybe an
Therapies.
OT, a therapy center, you can be a psych, somebody offering psych services. So there's a lot of possibilities. What we do require is that the person who will be the licensee would take an active role in managing their center. So this is also the success formula in many other centers across the world.
And you could also be starting from scratch like an entrepreneur where you want to have your own center and build it the ground up
Like
and
how
just
we
offer our
started.
program similar to how we started.
But then who's going to be the person learning the BrainRx system? Is it going to be the owner entrepreneur?
They definitely have to know it, but they can hire their head trainer, lead trainer to run it, but they need to be very hands-on
I
as
see.
well in making sure that it's done properly.
And then the trainers that are there, do they have to have the education degrees, psychology degrees? What are the when they start training?
Education, definitely a college degree. We've had a couple of education and psychology. Majority yun yung na-attract namin. The people in the education psychology space, for sure. However, it's not a necessity. We do find that some people from communications, from HR,
From business.
in business,
Oh, wow.
they also, it depends on what they bring to the table. It's that attitude, the personality, the energy, the funness. Can they engage with you? Very good communication skills. So we can teach them how to become a brain trainer, but we can't necessarily change their mindset or their personality or their attitude. So that's what we really look for, is having that can do, can train, willing to work with kids and adults, that kind of
Able to
person.
connect well with
Yeah.
students.
Yeah.
Are there particular areas that you've been seeing that there are opportunities for BrainRx to be to grow in? Because I mean, like you said, Tarlac is your first provincial, and
Yes.
then I'm
And they
looking at the
already have
areas-
students.
They already have students. So yeah.
Yeah.
So is
Yeah.
your Tarlac licensee somebody who had a tutorial center, then they just added on?
No, that was actually very interesting and very heartwarming story. So this Tarlac licensee, she was actually one of our clients because her developmental pediatrician referred the family to us. But since they live in Tarlac, so what they had to do was travel, get this, weekly,
Wow.
weekly to Manila to bring her son to our center in BGC. Luckily, they have a home also in Manila, no? But imagine the pagod
Yeah,
having
yeah.
to do that.
I'm the gas.
Pero you know what? Kasi what we like about this mom, very really committed
Resilient.
to finding solutions for her son. And when she saw that, like you, hindi lang siya nakakita, even the other people, recently nang sabi sa akin, anong ginawa niyo sa anak niyo? Parang nakikinig na, it's easier to teach. So everybody was amazed. So she saw that early on, and she started thinking, in my, alam mo, Joy, in my hometown,
Yeah.
wala masyadong ganito. So like even the speech therapy, parang ilan lang, OT ilan lang. And then ang haba-haba pa daw ng waitlist. Kaya
Yes,
yung
yes,
mga,
exactly.
able to, they all go to Manila na lang.
Yeah.
So sabi niya, why not bring this to my hometown kaya? Doon yung start. Para makatulong rin ako. Tapos at the same time, if her son continues to need it, nandiyan na rin.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
ready na siya.
Ready na siya.
Oo.
But she really said, I remember her face at that time. Sabi niya, imagine, Joy, wala talaga masyado sa amin. Yeah.
perfect.
And she's an entrepreneur also. Yeah.
So perfect. That those are the type that are within your target range. No? So are there? I'm guessing right now. Are there any particular areas you're looking for licensees? Are they Batangas, Cavite?
There's a lot.
Region
So
4A?
we're open as long as maybe
There's demand.
there's demand in that area for this kind of service.
Yeah.
We're more upscale than many other interventions, so it has to be also more suitable in the to the community. But at the same time, what's more important is that the person or the group that's running the center would have that growth mindset also, because nobody comes into this knowing everything. Even kami, when we took the training before in the US, sabi namin, holy cow, Mel, kaya ba natin to? So every licensee after that first training, you feel na parang
Overwhelmed a bit.
overwhelmed. And you kind of have those doubts. And that's why we're here as the master developers. We're here to, we won't like take over your business and run it for you, but we're there to bounce off ideas with. And like,
Got that. Really interesting. So for those who are interested in becoming a licensee, how do they get in touch with you guys?
First, they can, maybe
our
the
website?
easiest, visit the website, BrainRxPHlicensing.com. BrainRxPHlicensing.com.
Okay.
And from there, there are contact numbers there. There's ways to contact us. Yeah, that's probably the easiest to remember.
BrainRx PH
Licensing.com for the licensing. Yeah.
.com. Got that over there.
Yeah.
It's been such an interesting discussion. We're going to start wrapping it up because I think, we've really come to, and hopefully we're going to invite you back to discuss a bit more about, particularly about BrainRx and the methodology so people get to appreciate it more. And because it's not only something that that you gain knowledge from doing BrainRx per se, but rather when understanding how the brain actually works can help other people as well. But having said that, I want to take a step back right now and ask you, let's say, from all that you've learned from doing BrainRx and from working for the family business and yourself from working consultancy and moving here and then doing a family project and doing family business and doing a passion project, are there any key insights, 2 to 3, that you want to share with the entrepreneurs and the owners here who are listening that could really help them as well in their own business? Your own wisdom and insight into this one.
For me, it's really never giving up. There will be many, many days where you feel like quitting. It's part of the process. And I think you need to find entrepreneurs like yourself to draw inspiration from. And that's one of the reasons why I joined an entrepreneurs organization, so that I could draw inspiration. Because it's lonely at the top. I'll be honest with you.
Yes.
It's lonely at the top. You can't share everything with your staff and employees. There's only a limit. And there's boundaries also. So I think never give up and surround yourself with people that can inspire you. For me, that will keep you going and keep you sustainable.
Wow, really great advice. Thanks so much, Mel.
Me, I'm going to go back to what I find value as a lifelong learner. I think what's important at the end of the day, no matter at what stage we are in life, we always have to have that attitude and that mindset to learn. So we could be the most successful CEO, or you could be the most successful podcast host, but there's always that room to improve. There's always that, space in that mental space to improve in, to learn more. So I believe that no matter where we are in our journey in life, we have to have that. And once we have that, then we continue to grow and improve.
Thanks so much, Joy. And again, thanks so much, Mel and Joy, for sharing with us BrainRx, not only as a business that is very meaningful and important, but at the same time, sharing with us your own entrepreneurial experiences. I'm sure a lot of people will gain from that. But again, thanks so much for joining us here on the RJ Ledesma podcast. We'll see you on the next podcast, guys. Thanks so much.
Thank you, RJ.
Thank you.
The opinions of podcast creators, hosts, and guests are not necessarily reflective of the official stance of the Pod Network Entertainment, its hosts, or other network programs. The content created by the people behind the podcast is personal and not meant to harm any religion, ethnicity, group, organization, company, or individual.